Welcome back to Control, episode 22. We're in the Parapsychology department, and we're in one of the larger rooms. This room is really striking because it's 4 or 5 rooms that have been stitched together, which works really well. And I thought we would take a little bit of a tour of it. So down here you can see these brightly lit desks. This is where the parapsychology victims, what else would they be, would sit while getting interviewed by someone with a computer. I don't like this room very much. I'm never a big fan. Control does this in a couple of places where they're just like, oh yeah, we'll just stamp the same thing down 18 times and call it a design. This is their only bad habit, in my opinion. It doesn't really say... I don't feel like this would be a place where you'd actually interview people. They're just like sitting in the chair staring at the person ahead of them. There's not even any friggin' straps on the chairs. So it just feels like it would be, like, again, something that you would put into a document, a proposal about a building you're going to build, and then you'd build it and it would suck and you'd have to completely change what you're doing. That's just a sort of instinct I get from seeing something with such clean repetition, you know? Still, it's not bad, it's just... It doesn't make me feel like this ever actually had any interviews conducted in it. As we move up, the rooms get a little bit better, though. This is the storage section with all the paperwork. I like a lot about this. I really like these 70s marigold floors. Or are those 60s? I think they're 70s. I like the fact that these desks aren't pointed in the right direction. The desks should be pointed that way, because behind you, you have nothing but files, right? But they're all facing the wrong direction. I think that's wonderful. It says a lot about the corporation. It says a lot about the bureau. It says a lot about the people working for the bureau and the habits that they have. I think it is the height of terrible design to have two workers facing each other, neither of them able to see the approach vector, for people who want their attention. It's an amazingly bad decision, which is absolutely perfect, and it's on point for this kind of room. Over here we have a wonderful pillar with a light shining down on it and a big-ass clock telling you to get back to work. I really enjoy this room, all of the green filing cabinets and the giant clock. It feels very natural. We'll talk more about these cubicles later in a different room. And on the final set of stairs, we go up to what is presumably the entrance. We're coming through backwards, presumably. And we see this, this model of a human brain that's been cut apart. That's a really, really powerful, art choice. It's pretty obvious. It's not like they're going to get any points for originality. Well, the Parapsychology division has, sectioned human brains as art, obviously. But it's a really well-executed choice. This really tells us that not only is this place about brains, it's about taking the brains apart. This is not one of those nice psychology places, but keeping your brain intact. That is the room we just passed through. There are some other details about it that we could go over, but I think we covered most of them. The vertical stepping is largely determined by the fact that we have several rooms to rise through. It's not quite as inspired as some of the other areas, and they couldn't use the light wells, quite as aggressively as in some other areas because of the way that the room was segmented. I don't think that's bad. I think it's really interesting to have a variety of things, and when they do drop the light wells, like here, it makes it feel like an important part of the room, an entrance, Down here we can exit out to the rest of the station, the rest of the research center. And I think that this is a really good entry atrium. It has a lot going for it. First off, I really like this white walkway with the yellows off to the side. This is something that you can really see working as a sort of actual design principle. You'd be surprised how many rooms can be made better by putting a big stripe down the middle of them where the people would walk. Normally speaking, you would have that be... Well, let's not go into that. This is a very good choice for a video game. We've got lights on here and there, but we've also got this strange overhang. And this strange off-center overhang, I think, really sells the fact that the parapsychology division is a little bit weird and awkward. And, of course, all of these paintings hanging down at 45 degrees or 60 degrees, another really clear example. I love all of the things they did to try and make the Parapsychology Center seem off-center. It really works well, in my opinion. And there is the thing we entered in so long ago. And if we go this way, boom, back out into that big central atrium. So all we really did was go in a big loop. But that big loop did free up these elevators, so we can go down them. Let's see.
Marshall, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. Who is this?
My name is Jessie Faden.
Faden. Hold on. We need to talk.
She's got more of you.
Oh, I hate this one.
Really?
There's no cover, so you got to be a little bit careful. Oh, I don't have to be careful. What am I talking about? I'm invincible. Sorry, some days I forget that I'm cheating. Alright, so we killed some dudes for no reason, and now the elevator's here. We can talk about, actual gameplay talk. Monster closets that strike while you're waiting for an elevator are pretty much the lowest trick, but it's difficult to come up with some other way to make waiting for an elevator fun, you know? So it's excusable. I just wish that there were
said his team knows all the
something more creative there.
Marshall, especially. Does she know what happened to Dylan?
Don't know. Boy, I'd be a lot more interested if someone had told us that she did, or was the kidnapper, or anything. Whatever. So one of the things about that elevator that's a little bit unique is it doesn't actually transition between loading levels. Like, this isn't a different zone than we were in before. And I'll show you what that means in a second. But first we're going to go bathroom diving just to check. Yeah, loot. So I love this piece of art over here on the side that says, "Go this way." A big, obvious pointing finger. That's excellent. And I love this greenery. This is a really great way to usher you into an area. But the thing about this that's most impressive is part of the big-ass atrium. Yeah, this art piece is actually one of the roof slopes, one of the ceiling slopes in the atrium. We're in part of the atrium that we couldn't reach before. There's another part right there that we can't reach, and I'm almost tempted to jump for it, but I think that we would fall short. This is just a save point. There's nothing that will react to us claiming it. It's fine. Lots of messages for us. Why does the luck department need so many messages? Alright, so I want to talk about cubicles. I love when a room is repurposed in-game. Like, oh, now it's a hospital, or now it's a place for everyone to sleep, or whatever, right? That really gives a level designers a lot of room to flex. They can do a ton because they can repurpose these elements in really fun, evocative ways. But one of the worst level design elements is cubicles. Cubicles are historically absolutely terrible for playability because your character can't see over them, and it's very difficult for you to see over them as well. But they're not so challenging that it's actually like going to block bullets or anything like that. So most people just treat these kinds of rooms as open when they're clearly not. I've seen a lot of games where cubicle mazes were the worst combat arenas. Well, guess what? They solved it. All they did was replace the top 3 feet of the cubicle, or 2 feet of the cubicle, with glass. Now, from a human usability standpoint, this is the dumbest possible idea. Nobody wants to be sitting here staring over at Mark from accounting all day. But that's not the point. This isn't about humans using it. This is about it working in a game. And this works perfectly. The whole point here is not only are they jerks by laying out their facility like this so that the people don't have any privacy, but also we can see what's going on in the room. It's not a shitty room that we can't make our way through. It works. It's a great idea. And to me, it's a really excellent example of how you can...
There you are. I was starting to worry.
I think that's a moss sample. I can collect the moss samples before I know I can. Oh, cool. And to me, it's a really good example of how to take an inspiration from an existing real-world object and then change it so that it actually suits a game environment. Because it's not always going to suit a game environment as it is. It's important that you retrofit it.
I'm trapped in my we'll talk. Rangers, let her through.
Alright, so the story there is that her heavily armed super squad of rangers is getting absolutely destroyed by whatever's ahead, so we should go in alone and solve it.
I think
Of course. There are a whole bunch of people in danger, so I guess that's what we should deal with first. We'll come back
I
up
see
here
Rangers over
afterwards.
there. We have to help them.
Probably should have done this off screen. Because it's not going to be very much fun to watch me fight. It's just a bunch of shooting. So there are humans in here, but they're very hard to tell apart from the enemies. Especially if you're colorblind. So... Not a huge fan of those because they kill off the random soldiers really, really quick. See? They're dead now. So it's hard to protect the soldiers from them. Was that it? Are we done there? Alright, so we're not going to clear this room just yet. Because there's a boss fight when you do, and that's something I don't want to deal with at the moment. We're already 12 minutes in. We're just going to go back and check the system. I'll fight the boss off screen, and then I'll be right back with you once we're ready. Have a good one.